Well, tú me mandaste un boche.
And we are live with another episode of Brownish Live. You guys know my beautiful and hilarious co-host, Sasha Merci.
Hello. Thank you for having me every week. How are you? How are you feeling? How was your morning, by the way?
First of all, I love how you started off. It was like almost like when you kick it off to a reporter on the scene. Hello, yes, I'm live.
Now back to you, Eric.
I am good. Today was the first day of social distance learning. So I'm teaching second grade and I'm teaching preschool.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a man that wears many hats. You are a stand-up comedian, a teacher, a husband, a writer, a show host, a podcaster.
Okay.
You know, like you wear a lot of hats. So I have a question. When you're teaching your kids, do you like crack jokes here and there, or like are you practicing your stand-up as well as like
my kids don't fuck at all?
They don't?
No, my kids always like, huh? My oldest one, I'm like, oh, get it? And he's like, huh? I don't what? He doesn't get sarcasm. That's the problem with kids. They don't get sarcasm at this age. They don't get simple jokes, but then he'll like hear a joke from his friends, or he like his grandma bought him a joke book, like little kid joke books.
Yeah.
And he thinks they're hilarious. And he'll be like, knock, who's there? Orange. Aren't you glad I didn't say banana? Huh?
And you're like, ooh.
I'm like, man, that is not genetic, is it? That is not what?
Not genetic at all.
What about you? How you doing? Are you guys still filming? Are you guys done filming? What's happening?
We're not done filming. We have 4 more episodes to go. And, you know, we are wearing a lot of hats as well because we're executive producers on the show. So it's been a lot. You know, you think that because you're filming 2 days out of the week, that you have enough time to focus on other things. But throughout the other 8 days out of the week, 8 days, you hear me? Throughout the other days out of the week, you're freaking struggling to like catch up on like what are the things that you're talking about, you know? Because you know, my weeks have 10 days.
Right. You know,
I work 10 days a week.
Shoot. I'm highly enjoying your posts because you're putting up. I could tell like the stylist will put something on you, and you don't feel comfortable because you're trying to be funny. Like that's what all comics do. They're like, look at this. Look, I look like and then you try to joke about how you look because you don't feel comfortable. Look, I look. I'm in the 90s. Whatever.
Yeah. I'm not used to just being like glamorous, right? It's like it's always like this, like, but you know, I'm also funny. You know, like. I don't want you to think I'm just this pretty girl because you're gonna get very disappointed when you realize I'm a nerdy comic. Yeah. So like, you know, I'll do my little pose and then the next video I'll try to do like a little sketch.
Right. So. Now, which of the outfits has been the most uncomfortable for you?
I don't know if I feel uncomfortable. I feel like I feel too glamorous, you know, where I'm like, I'm so into like my glamorous side that the comedian in me, I guess, is uncomfortable. So the comedian in me is like, you better say a joke. So I think that the one that made me feel, I guess, the most uncomfortable would be the one in black, where I have like the black top and then like the black leather. Because I really felt like a pinup girl in a sense, you know.
You look like you were special. Yeah, the leather special.
Yeah. So yeah, that one was like too high fashion for me, and a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, like you look like." Some people are saying I look like Salma Hayek, but I'm like, I don't see it.
I saw that picture, and I was gonna comment on it, and I was like, that might come off wrong because like
what were you gonna say?
I saw the outfit, and I was like, but why you got them zippers there? Like, what's those zippers for? Because like the logical comment to me, like, because you had 2 zippers in, and I was like, but what's that for?
You know what that's for. No.
I got kids, so my wife had outfits like that, but that was for like breastfeeding, like, oh, the baby's
exactly. It's like, you know, that's for like if I had kids, easily feed them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are like, I would say my most uncomfortable, but I still felt like I had to bring in the funny more because I'm like, people are gonna get distracted by these zippers.
Excuse me, my eyes are up here. Stop looking at my zippers.
Stop looking at my shit. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I've just been editing, working, writing, trying to fit everything into my schedule.
Nice. I love it. I love that I feel like we're busier with the lockdown than I thought. Anyway, I thought like, oh, lockdowns would be a nice little break.
Yeah.
But no, it's become busy. It's become busy for a lot of people.
Look at us. We're doing it. We're doing it.
And we've got a guest today who's also doing it. I'm excited by. I know I think on Instagram and on Facebook I called him an actor extraordinaire. And by the way, I am not going to take credit for knowing how to spell extraordinaire. Siri helped me out on that one. I was like,
I don't know how to spell extraordinary.
And then Siri was like, here you go. And I was like, thank you, Siri. But he's dude. Yeah, like I was looking at his IMDb resume. This dude's on everything. But right now, the most recent, he's on Tyler Perry's The Haves and Have-Nots. Big up, Oscar Torre. What's up, man?
Hello.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Hello, Sasha.
Hola,
I was just checking out your Instagram as I was waiting. ¿Cómo anda?
Yo estoy bien, yo estoy bien.
Yeah.
So Oscar, man, tell us, man.
Awesome.
So first of all, Cubano,
I saw the zippers. I saw that emergency zipper.
Yeah, you see, that's what I'm saying. Those zippers,
My family's
man,
Cuban.
those are the topic of conversation. Okay.
The zipper. I'll tell you now, real quick, before we get into your background.
Oh,
like
sure.
that's an outfit only a female can pull off. Because if a dude's wearing zippers, everybody make fun of like, yo, here comes zippers. Here he comes.
Imagine.
Mira, zippers, come here.
He's got a parachute.
Man, women could get away with wearing anything pretty much. Like, it's not our fault. It's not our fault.
Totally.
I did a quick, real quick. I did a shoot.
No,
I forget what it was for.
I'm not complaining.
They gave me this jacket, this blazer that I was like, okay, like I was uncomfortable in it, but everybody on set was like, oh, yo, you look so good in that jacket. And it had like the stitching looked like dashes, right? All along. And all the females, oh my God, that jacket is amazing. You look so good in that jacket. I wore that jacket to a comedy club. When I tell you, I went back, I wanted to throw that jacket out right away because male comics are the most brutal and vicious people. Like as soon as they saw me walk in, they're like, yo, that jacket's not even finished. He got the dashes still. Where they gonna cut it out? I was like, stupid jacket. I don't even want it.
Yo, man, it looks like those jackets.
Costume department gives you stuff that they think looks cool until you put it on, and it's like, yeah, I don't think this is gonna do. It's way too tight. The buns are about to come off.
Yeah, if you ever really want to know what an outfit looks like, wear it around your family or like comedians. They'll let you know right away, and right away you'll take it off. You're like, never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So Oscar, your family's Cuban. Where are you originally
Latino
from?
families are all comedians.
Yeah.
That's true.
I was born and raised in Miami. Which is one large comedy club.
Oh yeah, I've been to Miami. Miami's no joke, man. So then, how did you? So you're in Miami. Where did the acting bug come from? Was that? Did you go to school for that? Was that family? Was that watching stuff on TV?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, it was. I went to school. In school, I had one elective left. And my girlfriend at the time, I asked her to sign me up for a class in college. And she thought it'd be funny if I took an acting class, unbeknownst to me. So next thing you know, I'm in an acting class. I was really shy. That's why she thought it would be really funny to put me out of my comfort zone. And acting teacher saw me doing one exercise. I was failing the class miserably because I wasn't going up. I was just sitting there with my arms crossed. I was like, these clowns. I was judging everybody. And So I had to do one scene in class. To pass the class, she told me, you got to go up and do something so I can give you a passing grade. I'd hate to fail you. So I did an exercise. It was weird. The moment I stood on stage, I forgot that I was on stage. I forgot I was an audience. Everything clicked for me at that moment. And it became very real, and I got very emotional. And it was an emotional moment that I was doing. And after that, she said, you should take it a little bit more serious. And that was a moment I was hooked. I didn't realize that. But it's almost like, you know, I guess a drug addict that gets high the first time and then they're always trying to get that same high. It kind of became like that for me. And it took a while for things to click for me. That in that moment, I guess it was meant to be, because I was horrible at first when I started. But I knew I was horrible.
That's funny, because you we usually like watch like those almost like those behind the music when you see like an actor and he's like just amazing right off and they're like, oh, I knew. And I love that your acting teacher was like, listen, just do something so I can pass you.
Yeah. But the fact that you said that it became so natural.
I didn't know. Nobody knew. My family definitely didn't know.
Yeah.
So now, what was the first?
My family would look at me and go, "What the hell is he doing? Why is he pursuing this?" And I very early on in my career, I was a Spanish soap called Maria Elena. It was huge in the Spanish market at the time, and and so I had quite the exposure, which wasn't the greatest thing if you're not a good actor. And my family were all giving me acting tips. Everybody I knew were giving me acting tips because they'd see me on TV. Well, oh, you know, that was pretty good, but you got to listen to what the other actor's saying. But you can't react before they, you know, and soaps are so flat. They'll just put it on TV.
Yeah.
Lo que tienes que hacer escúchame, porque yo era actor en Cuba. What you gotta do is, you know, you gotta pay attention to what's going on. You gotta be natural. Relax. You gotta be natural.
Family will give you acting tips and comedy tips. My family all the time like this. What you know what you gotta do is you gotta be more like Eddie Murphy. You got, and you're like, all right, man.
Right, Eddie. Yeah,
you gotta put the leather jacket on. Yeah. Eddie Murphy leather jacket
with the zippers.
You can even want
2 zippers.
So now, what the soap Maria Elena was like that the first thing you booked where your family's going, okay, he's on to something, or they didn't believe until you started doing English speaking roles?
Until I started doing English speaking roles, because I wasn't good at Maria Elena. It was, you know, it was a big soap, and I don't know why I got the role. I guess I looked the part, but I wasn't good. And I would look at it. The thing is that I would look at it and I knew I wasn't good. But at the same time, I knew I could be good. I just didn't know. I just hadn't figured it out. I didn't know how to do it, but I knew I would get there. It was an interesting. I didn't know if I'd be successful. I didn't know, but I knew that I could be improved. I was looking at the TV. I go, I could definitely improve. And I worked hard. I mean, I worked hard. I really looked at so many films and so many actors, and okay, why are they good? What are they doing with this? What are they doing with that dialogue? Why do I believe them in these roles? And that's how I started improving. And going to class and doing theater and all that, you know.
Yeah.
I love your honesty that you're watching yourself going, this is not good. This is
yeah.
Because I feel like there's some people that'll lie themselves, like, you know, me and Sasha, like, you know, we do stand up, so we know comics are like, yo, I killed it, and you're there in the room and you're like
nah,
kill it, like,
yeah.
If you're honest with yourself, you're trying to improve, you know.
Exactly, and that's why you go up, and that's why you put yourself, you know, out there.
Yeah,
and yeah, no, I knew I wasn't good. I knew it wasn't. It was. So now, it was. I mean, I was horrible.
So, what was your first role that you saw yourself and you go, look at this, I'm good"?
First, it was a play. I did a play that things clicked for me in that play. doing that play. Like I started finding a way of working that worked for me. And then I booked a film in Miami called Suicide Blonde that came out. It was distributed and stuff. And I wasn't even meant to book that film. This is a different little story. I was giving a ride to an actor to the audition to meet the director. Mm-hmm. And the guy was there, and once he's there, man, he starts like talking down to the director. Nah, I don't think I want to do this, and I don't like the it's too commercial of a film. And I'm like, I had not done anything except Marilena at that point. I'm like hearing this guy, I'm like, this guy's nuts. And I go, once he was done talking, I tell the director, hey, I want to be in your film, man. What can I do? Can I audition? I got this monologue. I just did a play. And he's like, no, you know what? Give me your information. And the casting director will call you. And then it happened. I got the audition, and they had me audition like 4 times for the role. And it changed my life. That's the role that brought me to LA. Because we ended up doing ADR, working on sound here, and I had to re-record some of my lines and stuff and add lines. So we did that in LA. So that's the first time I came to LA. So they for that film. So if it would have for me giving a ride to some actor that, I mean, shoot himself on the foot.
Yeah.
Am I back? Be in LA. It wasn't for that I gave a ride to an actor.
Damn, you keep breaking up.
Who knows what would happen?
Hey, Oscar, you're breaking up a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
We kind of caught half of that story there.
Yeah, we did. We kind of caught half of it.
Oh, wow. Okay. I gave an actor a ride to an audition, and he ended up shooting himself in the foot. And I asked the director, hey, I want to audition monologue. And that's how I ended up getting my first role in a film. And that film brought me to LA. Because you are in LA, and they flew me twice to LA. So I wouldn't be in LA if it wasn't for that film. Very possible.
Yeah. Did you ever have a moment where you're like, what the heck am I doing? I know I said that I wanted to do this, but I don't know what I'm doing. Did you ever have that moment, or you just knew that this role was for you and you were going to do the best that you can at
it? No, I knew that role was for me. That film, I knew that role was for me. I knew I'd kill it if I get it. Yeah. I was prepared. I worked so hard at that role, and the more auditions I got, I auditioned 4 times for the same role. The more auditions I got a better idea of what I wanted to do and who this person was. And yeah, they didn't think the same way because they had me audition 4 times, but it went my way. I mean, the moment that I had that moment. The time I had that moment that I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Should I be? Was when I moved to LA. Those first years that I couldn't get arrested, and I'm like doing odd jobs and hating it and hating my life. I'm like, should I be doing this? Maybe God's trying to tell me to go back to Miami, but at the same time, I wasn't gonna go back to Miami until I felt that I'm like, nah, there's no way I'm going back to Miami. Everybody's going to be like, I told you shouldn't have gone to LA.
Right.
That kept me in the game. That literally kept me in the game.
Yeah, I think that's with everybody. Like, you don't want to go home.
You don't want to prove everybody right.
You know your family right away. You're not even the funny one. You're not. I'm more talented. And you're like, oh man, I don't want to hear this.
Exactly.
So now you've worked with a bunch of a lot of talented people. Was there anyone that you were intimidated by? Because I know I've seen like Jimmy Smits and right now you work at even the show you're on now, with a powerhouse like Tyler Perry. Like, is there anybody when you were like, whoa, this dude is on a whole different level?
Not really. I mean, I'd hate to. I don't want to sound cocky, but nervous. Yeah, going in every job I've gotten, I've been nervous. It doesn't matter if it's a short film with somebody who's never. I get nervous beforehand, and obviously when you're working on a big project, you get nervous before you meet the person.
Right.
So that, yeah, and you wonder how this actor's gonna be and how's it gonna be. That makes me a little nervous. What's the experience gonna be like going in? But once I'm on set and I get past the hey, how are you? You get to meet the person. I tend to like go to my character. I follow my character, and I'm like, okay, I'm this person in this situation, and this person's not Bradley Cooper, for example, in Hangover. He's a guy he's this white guy in Mexico who was just arrested. Right. That's who he is. Right. And and I'll use whatever I can use. Like if I'm having doubts about myself, I'm like, who does he think he is? Does he think he's a movie star? I'm gonna show him who the movie star is. I own this prison. That kind of. So I use whatever I can to believe the situation, even if it means getting a little nervous or whatever. But it's always beforehand, and it's the little things that might get me nervous. Like in Hangover 3, what got me nervous was smoking. I don't smoke. And I'm off the scene, and I'm like, oh God, smoking. It had nothing to do with them. It was smoking. Can I smoke a cigar? Because I know how to smoke cigars. I smoke cigars. Cigarettes, I'm like, it's a whole different. And Todd Phillips, no, I have this image of a cigarette and the smoke. And you're like, but it can't be a cigar? No, it's got to be a cigarette. It's like, so I was smoking, trying to be all natural and stuff. And when we got to the day that we're going to shoot the scene, Todd Phillips said, I was thinking about it. If you want, you don't have to smoke.
Oh, like, wow.
No. I've been smoking for 3 weeks now. 2 packs of cigarettes a day. I'm smoking in the scene.
Yo.
Hilarious.
That's so funny that
things like that get me.
That's so funny that was like the moment that made you feel nervous. Because a lot of people was like, hey, is this putting something in your mouth? Like, is that, but that's method acting right there. For 2 weeks.
If you're a smoker, it's like perfect. Yeah. I get to smoke at the scene. I can relax. But for me, it was like, nah. And I don't want to be conscious of this. I see people that don't smoke seem very conscious. It's all about the cigarette. I just wanted to make it like I'm not even thinking about the cigarette and stuff. And it's like, so I worked a lot. But
we got a question in the chat. People are asking, what's it like working with Bradley Cooper in The Hangover, and were you surprised by Todd Phillips' success with the Joker?
I think I did answer Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper. I didn't say Bradley Cooper, and the rest of the guys were super cool to work with. They were very welcoming and relaxed and easygoing. It wasn't like, we're big movie stars, and at that time they were getting paid, I think, $15 million each for Hangover 3.
Diablo.
Yeah. See, that I didn't think about it. If I start thinking like these guys are making.
Let me get a cigarette right now. I need a cigarette.
You're gonna really start smoking. Oh man, 15. Oh man.
Damn, how much am I making? So, and Todd Joker, the question about Todd Phillips, Todd Phillips will kill me if I call him Todd Joker. Todd Phillips is a Joker. Well, I thought he was a great director when I was working with him. So, but I guess, for me, Joker it's a beautiful film, photographed. Every moment of the film was incredible. So, can't say I was surprised, but at the same time, I was blown away. So I don't know if I'm contradicting myself, but I'm very happy the success he's having as a director, because comedies, comedy's hard to do. Comedy, to do those films, Hangover, and to get the timing right, and to get the guy, and for it to work, that's harder. That might be harder than doing Joker in a way.
Yeah.
But he'll never get the credit for that.
Yeah, I always say comedies never get the credit they deserve, because the audience comes in and right away it's like, this movie better make me laugh. Nobody ever goes in, yo, this movie better make me cry. This movie better make me sad. No, it's always this pressure and this bar people set for comedies that it's almost unrealistic to hit sometimes.
In comedy,
it's true. I think
the difficulty with comedy. Yeah. No, I was going to say the difficulty with comedy, and you guys know it, being comedians, is like what you might find funny, the other person might not find funny, and it doesn't. And sometimes it doesn't translate by culture. What a Cuban finds funny is not the same thing as somebody in Argentina might find funny. So that makes it even more difficult for it to be funny. Drama. If you see somebody whose dog died, doesn't matter if you don't even speak the language. It can be Chinese. You're like, oh wow, he loves his dog. I had a dog. My dog died. Ooh, you start crying and feeling what this character is feeling. But in comedy, if you're like, hey, chico, white people looking at him like, I don't know what just happened there.
Right.
And the Latinos are laughing. It doesn't translate. So it's a lot harder.
You know what it is? You know what's so interesting that a lot of times people say like a comedian can be an actor, right? And then it's hard for an actor to become a comedian. But sometimes it just feels like for me it's hard to act because I only have a certain amount of emotions, right? So growing up in the Bronx, I only had the emotion of anger, happy, and then sad. That's it. I don't know. And then when as an actor, you have like a different palette. Like it's like I'm thinking right now. I'm feeling. I'm annoyed. I'm this. I'm that. For me, it's always like I'm happy. I'm sad, or like I'm angry. You know.
I'm jealous. So, my dad didn't let me have sad. Oh, you gonna be sad?
Yeah, because it just feels like
I think the more you work, you start. Every actor, when they start out, has the same thing you're saying. You know, we fall on it comes more natural. What I know instinctually, but then when you start thinking along terms of like the story, that's when you start expanding, and you're not thinking emotionally. Oh, you don't think about that. You think about like, hey, I just had an argument with my wife, and you know she's kicking me out. And so suddenly something that you thought you weren't capable of, as long as you find the way to believe that moment and not think about the emotions, whatever comes out. But I'm going to believe the situation that I've experienced before or know as somebody who experienced before. You find yourself expanding. And then next role you go, okay, I've already done that. I know what that, you don't want to repeat yourself, but I've been there. I can do that, and that's when the more you work, the more you start literally growing.
You know what's so
what you first knew, like when I first knew, I knew anger. I knew how to be like, hey, you know, I can curse, and that was easy to me. Being emotional was like, you know, I'm not being a Latino guy. I'm not that comfortable being vulnerable and you know showing that I'm hurt and all that. But once you start believing the story, and go, okay, I'm not in public in front of 20, 100 people with a camera. I forget about that. I'm like, okay, I'm home by myself. Life sucks. Okay, have I been there? Yeah, I've experienced that. I felt very lonely. And you start believing that story, then everything starts clicking. And you don't have to worry about what you need to convey. You just need to worry about what I need to believe in this moment.
You know what's interesting? That you're the only actor that I have spoken to that has told me like you have to believe where you are. You know, they're always telling me about techniques and stuff like that because I've taken acting classes and they're like, oh, just believe like you know you're anxious. If you're anxious in the scene, try to envision yourself as if you're about to go use a bathroom, right? Versus like, no, believe that you are in this moment. Believe it. You know, they're always trying to teach you these techniques, but like you just simplified everything by telling me, no, just believe that you're here in this situation and how are you going to act? So that's something dope that I haven't learned taking acting classes.
Good. I mean, whatever would make you anxious. We've all been anxious.
Yeah.
So, Oscar,
I'm like, what do I know about this? And it could be.
Yeah.
What other advice could you impart on people that are
What? I'm sorry.
Starting out? Because like you said, you when you first started doing it, you didn't believe you were good, and you yourself started doing the work to find ways to get there. And then you come to LA, you're working these odd jobs. You're not believing like, oh, this is what's happening. What am I doing here? So what advice could you give to like a new actor that's starting out or that's thinking about moving here? Because your resume speaks for itself. Like, you're amazing. So like, what advice could you give somebody so they're not as intimidated going into this?
Okay, I would say, first of all, know what you love. Why are you doing this? You guys know it. If let's say if you're doing comedy and you're doing it because you want the paycheck or you want the Netflix special and all that, you get good luck. But if you do it because you have to do it because you deep inside you, there's something that says, I need to do this. I need to tell stories. You will always have that to fall back on. And without work, I want to be in movies and I want to be on TV and I want to be on stage, but that can't be the reason. Know that, you know what, I'm going to act. Just like you guys will tell jokes the rest of your life, even if we can be in quarantine for the rest of our lives. You will find a way to make somebody happy, even if it's and laugh,
Right.
even if it's through the window. Right. You'll be telling jokes with your head out the window because it's in you. It's regardless. You can be in your deathbed and you will still be telling a joke about like, it's like that scene in Jim Carrey in that movie. What was it? The one that he's dying, that he's playing Andy Kaufman.
Yes, the Man on the Moon, something like that. Man on the
Moon. The scene when he goes to the Philippines, because they say that there's this treatment over there, this guy, this guru, whatever that can. Yeah. And he realizes it's all BS, and the guy's he sees the chicken. The guy's got, and he starts. He chuckles, like he found the humor in the situation that he's dying. He's flown across the world to find the treatment that might save his life, and they just played the ultimate joke on him, and he saw the humor in that.
Wow,
that will never go away. But because if your intentions are right, but if you're doing it, because you want to be famous and you want to have the money and you want to do something else, because the same effort you're going to put towards being an actor, having a career in the arts, you'll probably be successful at something else if your heart's not in it. So that's the first thing I would say to people. And second, nowadays, it's easier to be seen. Why it's easier? Because you have a phone, who has a great camera. Mm-hmm. You can shoot your little films. You can write down your stories. That's what I tell actors now. Tell your stories now. Write them down. It doesn't matter if it's bad or good. Don't judge it. Just put it out there, because now you have the ability to do that.
Right.
You don't have to wait for somebody to give you a job. Learn how to edit. Tell your stories. What do you have to say? And you can always fall back on that. I'm always working on things on the side, my own projects, because whenever I go to an audition, I'm always like, I hope I get it. Obviously, I'm here. I put in time to do this. I prepped. But if I don't get it, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go back to writing what I'm writing, and I'm going to focus on that because I'm passionate about that, and I want to tell that story. Mm-hmm. And that would always takes pressure away from me from getting this job that I really want, because I have something else that I'm going to do. And nowadays the technology it gives you that freedom of doing that, as opposed to that I would tell work hard, go to class, take online classes now if you can't actually physically go to a class, and keep working on your craft, because the competition is fierce. But somebody's got to be in movies, so why not you? That's the way I always thought about it. When people go, how many actors are in LA? I'm going, yeah, but they got to cast someone. Why not me?
That's true. What was your favorite role that you played?
The next one. Whichever the next one is.
That's the best answer I've ever
That's a
heard.
good answer. Oh my god, that's so good.
Let me ask you, man,
But
because
honestly,
dude, you've gone like I've seen some of your stuff where you're super intense, but now you're also doing comedies. You got the Hangover. Now you're working with a comedian friend of ours, Seventh and
yeah.
Union. What can you tell us about the movie? Is it a comedy or is it? Are we looking at a drama? What's because everything I've ever
We're
seen
looking at
as far as the end, dude,
Right.
fun.
Right.
we're looking at a drama. We're looking at a
Oh.
drama. And it's about it's four guys that stand on 7th and Union here in LA and wait for work, just like the guys that stand outside the Home Depot or waiting for work, hoping to get work. It's a story of these four guys, mainly one that's Omar Chaparro, big Mexican international star. He's a boxer, but he used to be a boxer. He's not boxing anymore. So it's basically these four guys that stand there and every day, and they're not friends from before. They're not like four friends, but their relationship, how it evolves during the story. And obviously, the main character, Omar, has a wife and has a kid, and they're also leads in the film. But we're all the main cast. And Felipe Esparza is that one guy who doesn't matter how bad the situation is, he's making jokes.
Right.
He's finding humor, and that we're standing here and nobody's giving us work and making I don't know, $5 an hour and stuff like that. But he always finds the time to be eating. He's constantly eating, and he and I at first we kind of clashed. His character and mine, and my character is that guy. I play a character by the name of Jorge, who's that guy who's always pissed. He's pissed at the situation. He's pissed at life. He's pissed at God. He's pissed that he's here. He had other dreams in his life. It's not to be standing on a corner begging for work. And he's pissed at Felipe, his character. Why is he making jokes? There's nothing to laugh about. That kind of character. But it was a lot of fun. It's funny because it's a drama. It's a serious drama. But we had so much fun.
Yeah.
There was so many under very stressful situations of COVID and constantly getting tested and wearing the mask and getting our temperature taken, and Felipe showed up on set with a mask that I guess was made for him because it looked just like him. He's just like he was sticking his tongue out in the mask. So he would put the mask on, you think it's, and then he'd lower the mask and go, ah!
Wait, are you serious?
It was exactly, it looked like him. It was his face. Yeah, it was his face. He must have gotten made or something.
Wow, that's really dope. What would be your ideal role? Like the ideal role that you can play that you're like, yeah, that's what I've been working all my life for.
There's so many. I mean, there's so many roles that I'd love to play. Maybe I've played some version of them, but not quite. Like an undercover cop, for example, who's a little shady. Now I don't know if that would get done now under the situation, but he's a little shady, but at the same time he's doing good, and it's like you don't know if he's good or bad throughout the those kind of roles, kind of like or like a Tony Montana character.
Oh, okay.
That's I would love to play a role like that. Although I played versions of it on the show that I'm on right now, in the Has and Have Nots. It's not Tony Montana because I'm Italian, but it's he's head of the mafia, of the Italian mafia. I've got a taste of these characters, but to be the lead in the show, that everything's written around you, that would be a dream.
Yeah, let's manifest it. Who knows? Maybe the person that's writing that role for you
I write it every
right
day.
now, I can manifest it.
Here's my question. I love that you submerge yourself in these roles and you become these characters and you believe the world you're in. How long does it take after you're done filming to sort of shake that off and not be that guy no more? Like, do you walk around for the next couple days as that character you were just in?
Depends on the role. I mean, not that I'm crazy, but there's that, you know, the lines are still so fresh in your mind.
Yeah. It's not that you're crazy. So you've been doing it for a couple of days. You've become this guy, so it's hard to just.
Yeah. But I'll say something that I'm like, that sounds like my character. That's not something that I would say. You know, that sounds like a character. You know, you start because you have imagine it's like a Rolodex, a file in your head of these roles, all these lines that you've memorized, and I won't necessarily remember them years from now, but I remember lines that will come to me. So I guess you don't totally put them away. You file them away. And sometimes it'll come back and you go, okay, I'm doing this role. It's similar. It's not the same. I don't want to be the same. But what do I know about that? You know, what experience did I have? So I don't know if you totally forget, but it might take me a few days. But some roles that are very intense, you just, you know, when I'm done, I get home, I get a haircut, I shave, I definitely try to get rid of that role because sometimes it's heavy, it's dark, it's painful. You're walking around with that pain. Like my wife will leave town. I did this show called Cold Case. That was the character in the show. I killed my cousin, but I wasn't a bad guy. It was just happened a moment of rage. I did something that I regretted for the rest of my life. I got away with it, and 10 years later, they reopened the case, Cold Case, and at the end of the episode, they catch me. I'm the killer. I confess. Man, that was so painful for me. I was playing a guy who had been a baseball player in Cuba. He had been sent back to Cuba. He got caught coming to the U.S. He was sent back to Cuba. In Cuba, they broke his arm in 3 pieces, and he was never able to be the same guy. So he comes back to the U.S. and he's trying to get signed professionally because he needs the money. But he can barely lift his arm. And my cousin is now a professional baseball player who wasn't as good as I am, but he's living the life. And we have an argument that I end up killing him. The guy that I love like a brother. That was difficult for me because I dealt with Cuba, with what happened. And I talked in the episode, I talk about what happened to me in Cuba. And I wasn't born in Cuba, but my grandfather spent 11 years in prison in Cuba. And he was tortured in prison. So that became very real for me. And I felt the responsibility to be honest with the story and tell the story. And I have a brother who also played baseball in real life. Going back to what I said, what do I know about this? I know what it's like having a brother who played baseball and who had some success in baseball and feeling that could have been me. But imagine if you kill your brother, it's like, and you get away with it and you never caught, but you're living not a bad person. It was a moment of rage. And in fact, they later catch me on because I tried saving him. And they're like, why would somebody kill someone? And they tried saving them. And at that point, they realized it had to have been somebody close to me. That's why they catch me. Working around 2 weeks. I mean, the couple of weeks when I got the role, preparing for the role, and then 2 weeks shooting this role, was my wife said to me, hey, her parents live in Vegas. I'm going to Vegas. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm out of here.
Wow, that's
and I wasn't even aware. Yeah.
So do you feel
like as soon as I was done with that, I was going to say as soon as I was done with it, I was happy to be done.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like sometimes these roles are an extension of who you are? So like if you were put in these situations, like this is how you would react? Or have you ever had a role that really challenged you to be like, whoa, I would never do this, but let me try?
Yeah, well, that one, for example, I would never kill my brother. I mean, doesn't matter how pissed off he could get me. I wouldn't
Yeah, don't admit that here.
Yeah. No, of course. No, I get that. Yeah. But any other roles besides that one?
I'm trying to think. I they could be challenging for different reasons. I did the movie called The Gianni Versace Story. It was a TV movie.
Yes.
That I did very early on in my career. They just did the TV show, the series, and I played the role that Ricky Martin played on the show. At the movie. So for me, that was challenging because I was first starting out acting. Getting the mannerisms of the character. He wasn't me. Versace's boyfriend was an ex-model, and now he's a designer. And playing a guy who was a designer, and playing that role, wearing these silk, these Versace shirts and silk robes, and it was very different to me. And having an Italian accent from Italy, not from New York, from Italy, and doing that. And I was working with an actor who was Italian, Franco Nero, who was a huge international star. So that was a bit intimidating in a way. Like, what does he think about my accent? Is he like shaking his head and going, "This is horrible"? So that was scary in a way to play that role.
Oh, I love Oscar had trouble with the designer part, not the ex-model part. He goes, "Oh yeah, the designer. I was uncomfortable with that."
Yeah.
Good. No, I was uncomfortable with the ex-model too, because I don't walk like a model. You know, models, when you have, they're elegant. When you've done runway, there's a certain way that you walk. I walk like a gorilla, and so finding that elegant walk. He came from a different total background than I did. This guy grew up in Europe. So that, to me, that was challenging, finding, okay, what do I know about this? I didn't know a lot. I never had that. Because other roles that I play, I go, what do I know about this? Well, I know somebody kind of like that. I can identify with, I've talked, but this guy had nothing to. What I would do? I would go. I lived in Miami at the time, and I'd go to South Beach and go to a Versace store that was there. And I'd go to his house, and I'd stand in front of his house, and I'd be like, "Wow, he was cute." So I was trying to immerse myself in looking at the world through his eyes. And at the end of the day, you're like, okay, I got to forget all that, and now I'm this person, and hopefully I don't walk like a gorilla. And what made it worse, they gave me those tight designer shoes, Italian shoes, and gave me blisters in the top of my foot. So on top of that, now I'm walking and I'm like limping. So there were moments I think I looked more like Dustin Hoffman in that movie that he walked with a limp than Antonio D'Amico, the role that I was playing.
That's funny. Yeah.
Oscar, man, listen. Before we wrap up, I just want to plug again. You're currently on the Haves and Have-Nots on the OWN network. So the show's been on since like 2013, if I'm not mistaken. So people can catch up on previous episodes. What else are you working on that people can look forward to?
Well, what I want to say about the Haves and Have-Nots, it premieres August 25th, 2-hour special.
Okay.
So tune in, because my character Vinny Malone, he gets to have a lot of fun this season.
All right.
Yeah.
And then where can people find you? Plug all your social media.
Oscar Torre, actor, at Yahoo, Twitter. They can find me there, and I respond to messages, unless you're messaging me about asking me for what's going to happen in the next episode or something like that, which I always get a couple. And then I'm like,
dude, Oscar, you are amazing, man. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm hoping everybody watching at home got a lot out of it, because I know I did. I know Sasha. I saw Sasha like, wow, so y'all got to pretend this is all real.
So this got to be real. It's not me trying to act like.
Yeah. Just don't kill the other actor.
There you go.
That's the only thing I would say.
You're right. You're right. I need help with that.
Yeah. So everybody, make sure you guys go follow Oscar Torre. He's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. He's a great follow. Also, make sure the Haves and Have-Nots on the OWN Network, premiering August 25th. Make sure you go follow Oscar's character, Vinny Malone. And Sasha.
You can follow me on IG at Sasha Merci. Right now, we're working on a TV show like Share Demolo for Fuse. If you want to catch the last 4 episodes, you can do it on YouTube. Just go to Fuse TV. And that's it.
Yeah, go follow her on Instagram and find out about them zippers. Follow me on everything at Erik Rivera Comedy, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I also have a half-hour special streaming right now on HBO Max, Super White. Please go watch it. The numbers matter, everybody. Oscar, thanks again for coming on, man.
Pleasure.
And the rest of your day, man.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.